Okay, I'm just going to quickly run through some of the basic introductions to JavaScript. We're going to look at some user input methods and some basic responses. So we're going to look at the prompt, confirm, on-click, console log, and alerts. Now, on-click is actually a method that's responded to in HTML. When you're working in JavaScript, really we would add an event listener to just click. But for now, stick to the simple stuff. Okay, so I'm going to create a new document, new JavaScript. Effectively just be HTML. I could create a separate JavaScript, but I want to view this in the browser. So as I've said previously, a script is normally defined in the head of a document. Now you don't need to declare what type of script it is because it assumes it's JavaScript. And the first thing we're going to do is to prompt the user. Prompt is a kind of a question that you ask. So I'm just going to put in there prompt, change it to purple. It's a method or a function, so it has brackets and then some parameters. It's asking for some text. So let's just put in what is your name. Inside of speech marks, we end the line with a semicolon. I'm just going to save this as intro JS1. That's something I'm going to include, but let's just preview that. And the first thing that pops up is what is your name. I type my name in. Okay, nothing happens. What I want to do is maybe assign this to a variable to store the value. So let's put var name equals prompt. So now there's a variable called name. It stores that value. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to log this out to the console so that when I am working in a browser I can check that this is what's going on. So let's just go through that process again by refreshing the page. What is your name? Hello. Click OK. And then what I'll do is, because I'm in Chrome, I mean it's different for different browsers, but they've all got this capability. More tools, and then JavaScript console. And we should see that the variable has been outputted as Adam. Okay, moving on from that, we're going to do something with the actual variable we've just created. I'm just going to write it to the document quickly. So document dot write. This will allow me to write a line of HTML. So I'm going to create a paragraph in speech marks plus the variable which is name, plus then close the paragraph that I've created. Put in brackets, save that. Then I'll test that again. And then click on OK. Now you can see the variable in the console. We can also see it on the page in front of us. Okay, so that covers prompt. Confirm is a little bit like a prompt, but instead it's just a yes or no answer. So we'll just call this answer equals confirm, then the message, which is you are a human, question mark, brackets. And I'll just log the response to that as well. And I need to write that to the document, so we can remove that line for now. Let's just test it. you are a human, OK or cancel, so I click OK, and it gives true. If I refresh that again, click cancel, it's a true or false answer, and that is working with the confirmation. So you quite often find that that's used when you're being asked if you want to leave a page and go somewhere else using JavaScript. And then we can use alert. Similar to confirm, it creates a pop-up window. It's used to alert the user. So we could use a little bit of conditional logic here. If answer equals false, and what we're going to do is set an alert window only humans may enter. Let's see how that works out. Just put some speech back in there. Save that. Just double test that again. You are a human. I click cancel, and then I get a JavaScript alert. Only humans may enter. It's pretty straightforward, but it's the fundamental steps to working with this language. So the last thing I'm going to do is to work with the onClick method. So in order to do that, I need something to click. So I'll be creating a function in script, but before I do, I'll put something into the page that is clickable. So I'll just put a button. I have the label click me. It should appear. It does appear on screen. And then we'll put function click Pt1. And we can just quickly respond to that with an alert once the button's been clicked. Button clicked. So the idea is that when we click on the button, this function will be called. All that's left is to make that work. So go button on click, and then I type in the name of the function, click Pt1, and save that. This is quite a simplistic way. We would look to move on from that. And just put the brackets in and semicolon. It should be okay. There we go. So the button's clicked, the JavaScript alerts pops up. Okay, nothing to come out of the console at that point in time. Now another way of doing this is to add the event listener once the element's being created. So what I'm going to do is get element by ID, which is part of the document. There we go. Just double check that. Give it an ID. So we'll just call that Pt1, so that I can refer to it from this bit of code, Pt1 dot add event listener. And in there I'll be listening for a specific type of function. So I'm listening for click in this case. And after a comma I'm going to put the listener that's listening for this click Pt1. and then I'll just get rid of this bit of code here. Show that working. So that should still work. There we go. Now that might seem longer-winded, but this allows us to have a bit more control over what we do with our functions. If it's just a simple redirect, then maybe you can get away with that. So let's say, for example, I'm going to pass a variable to this function and then do something with it. So I'll just call it my var, and I will alert my var there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blank function and then within that function I can call this click button and send a message to it. So this is our message being passed as a variable. Save that out, refresh the page. This is a message being passed as a variable. Okay, so you can do a lot more sophisticated, more complex activities using that technique. Okay, so one of those might be, for instance, to link it up to, for example, you wouldn't necessarily want to do this in reality, but in a test environment it's fine. Link, I'm going to prompt and then put website question mark. So that's going to be sent to a variable called mylink, and then instead of alerting, okay, so what we're going to do is then try to send the document to mylink. So change that variable to mylink. Just imagine that perhaps I need to put on the front of it which protocol is being used, and then change what's going on in here from being a message that's sent as a string, which is a series of characters, to a variable. So mylink. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if we test that. Okay, so it's asking for a website, so I'll put google.co.uk. Click OK. Click me. And there we go. The web page is loaded. So that's an example of using JavaScript to respond to user events.